Alright, hello everybody, welcome back. You are watching SpeedGaming Spring Marathon benefiting No Kid Hungry. And it's a fantastic cause. It's a charity whose mission is to end childhood hunger, and all of your donations will go directly to the charity. You can see the link in chat for the donation link and everything that you need to donate. You can also see a link to prizes and incentives, so you can see all those things. And we're at the start of the Ozmourn block, which is going to start with... Oh, he's starting with Ape Out instead of Light Matter? Okay.
Yes, we're going to start with Ape Out and then Light
whoops.
Matter.
I got to switch the layout. Sorry, just a sec.
Oh, no worries, no worries. That's alright. Yeah, I wanted to do all three puzzle platformers at the same time. Like, back to back. And then, because Ape Out is jarringly different.
Yeah, no problem. What's the category?
Warpless.
Oh, it's the Warpless one. Okay, got it. Alright, you're all set. You can begin.
Alright. Thank you so much, Fiesel, for that amazing intro. So, hello everyone. This is the Ozmourn block. I really hope that you enjoy my voice because I'm going to be talking for like 2 hours. But the first game that we're going to be playing is Ape Out Warpless. That's the category. And this is going to be jarringly different from the other 3 games that I'm going to be showing off for you, which is Light Matter, Superliminal, Antichamber. And so right here is Ape Out, which is an indie game that came out in 2019, made by Gabe Cazillo, and also a lot of stuff was also made by Bennett Foddy, who, you know, you might recognize their name if you played Getting Over It. And this, we have 4 main albums here, and we're going to go through all 4 of them. We cannot perform any warps between levels, and we cannot go out of bounds. And those are 2 glitches that were found that are completely banned in this specific category. So it's like a no major glitches kind of category in a sense, because there are still certain things that we take advantage of in this category that we allowed. And so right here we're just going to press start, and that's when timing will begin. I hope after what I offer with these games today, you're going to try and pick up one up and speedrun it yourself. So yeah, the journey begins in 3, 2, 1, and go. So Ape Out. Ape Out specifically is a game all about RNG. The levels are randomly generated each time that you play, and so you're gonna have to be on your toes. You have to react to what the game gives you. A lot of this game is RNG, but it's not the kind of RNG that where it's like if you need to get this or else you're not gonna get a PB. It's just like, oh, the game gives you this, here's how you need to handle it, here's how you're going to react to it. So that's the kind of RNG that we're going to be dealing with today. And right off the bat, you can already see a time save that we could have in this first section. As you saw when I killed an enemy, the title, the opening credits popped up, and theoretically you can just go through this entire level without killing a single enemy, and those title screens will never pop up. However, doing so is very annoying, very tedious, and very difficult to do without getting shot. And once you get shot 3 times, you will die and have to start the level over. But however, your health does get replenished after defeating each level. And there's 8 levels per album. So this is album 1, subject 4. It has 2 sides, side A and side B, and each side has 4 tracks or 4 levels. And so we're going to be going through all of that. And oof, I accidentally got shot by an enemy there by not keeping momentum. But speaking of enemies, we've already been introduced to 3 so far. We've introduced to the standard riflemen, which is just those white guys like these ones right here. We have introduced to the shotgun enemies, which are the large enemies in blue vests. And then of course we have the bomb enemies. The bomb enemies, whenever you push them to a wall, they cause an explosion, and the explosion will kill you in 1 hit. Any explosion in this game will in fact kill you in 1 hit, with a few exceptions that we are going to be talking about much later when it's relevant. And in this first album, it's pretty standard. You're in a laboratory where they're doing experiments on apes. Actually, if you had keen eye at the beginning of the level, you probably saw there were other apes in other cages that we busted out of that were actually like dead, and so they were doing experiments on apes, and then they ended up putting them down. And so we're escaping, so that doesn't happen to us. So there is lore, there is story here. We're not just an ape, trying to escape, going crazy and killing people. There is actually lore, but right here, there's not a lot to say about this first album. Right here, what I'm doing with these doors is each door goes off of a sound tick, and so 4 ticks will cause the door to open, but the 4th tick will always be delayed. And the way to get rid of that delay is by letting go of the door and then re-grabbing it. And so that's going to be something that we use more often. We've kind of gone past all the doors in this particular level, and so I will mention it more when we go later into this particular album. So yeah, that is the end of side A. We're going to go straight into side B. And one thing that you probably saw me doing was like walking at a very specific angle during the hallway transitions. And the reason that works is because we are able to, whenever you walk towards a wall in Ape Out, you get pushed away from it. But if you walk at it at a specific angle, you get pushed away and also forward. And the hallway transitions are the essentially perfect length for us to perform that kind of take advantage of that. And so if you were to run at a 45 degree, if you were to run while the ape is at a 45 degree angle, you can get a boost of speed that will allow you to move forward across those hallways. And right here we get introduced to our first in the dark sequence. These are pretty difficult sequences, if I do say so myself. I feel like I've been dying to them more often, but hopefully it doesn't happen today. And here's another example of this butt sliding thing that I've been telling you about. But in these levels, the enemies, they don't see you unless you're in their cone of light from their flashlight. However, I got shot twice already. Yep, this is what I mean by it's a bit more difficult, because the enemies actually react faster if you do end up in their cone of light. I don't even know what to do here. Oh my goodness. Okay, I didn't. There was no way for me to like react to that well, because it feels like I was already shot twice and there was an enemy on either side of that wall, and so it's just very weird. But with that being said, we can just go straight through here. And out of this next in the dark sequence, hopefully the second time is easier. Generally speaking, with a few exceptions that I've had, it feels like the game gives you an easier seed after you've already died once, and that is proven to be true right here. And also in these in the dark sequences is another example of some hard-coded obstacles that are in this game. For the most part, they are randomly generated, but during these last few in the dark sequences, when you start a level, the game will always force you up or down, and this specific hallway will always exist so that the lights can come back on. And we can just avoid enemies here at best. The music will not start unless an enemy hits us or an enemy dies. Will we complete the rest of the level without shooting an enemy? I almost don't. Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. Okay, an enemy did kill another enemy. If an enemy kills another enemy, that will also start the music. And so I was hoping that we would get through the whole level without actually starting the music, but unfortunately that has proven to be false. However, we will make it so that this next level 4-8 or 1-8 is the last section here. Here's another example of the door mechanic that I told you about, and I will mention it once more. Again, those go off sound ticks, and so when the fourth, in order to get rid of the delay on the 4th tick, you just have to let go and re-grab it, and that's going to be very useful right here. Like 1, 2, 3, let go, boom. And then the 4th tick will no longer be delayed. And right here is the ending hallway to album 1. And so hopefully, if we play our cards right, there isn't a bomb guy next to a bunch of enemies. Usually you don't want to see a bomb enemy in this final hallway, because it is very detrimental to your run if you're at the end of the album and then you suddenly die because you get hit by an explosion. So right here is the end of album 1. Now we're going to go straight into album 2. Each album has a specific theme. The last one was a laboratory, subject 4. And here is a high-rise. Why a monkey is in a high-rise building, we will never know. However, there's a specific glitch that I'm purposefully not doing in order to have a bit more marathon safety. And that glitch is there's a specific cutscene skip at the beginning of this section that we could do. During that loading screen at the beginning, there is a small period of time where the game is actually reading your inputs, and you can actually push that enemy out of the window that we pushed out at the beginning of the level before the cutscene starts. And by doing that, you skip the cutscene, but for whatever reason, we don't know why this happens. By performing that cutscene skip, you put the game in a really weird state in which if you end up dying within the first half of an album, so anytime in album or in side A, you will actually end up soft locking the game. Why this happens, we do not know. But it's a very interesting way of doing it. And right here, we also get introduced to 2 new enemies. Right here is the SWAT members. They will always come out of windows. They kind of just spray bullets at you, hoping that they hit you with no real aim. They're not much of a threat the majority of the time. However, one thing that is a lot of a threat is actually these little guys. The green-haired guys, they're called the Melvins. That is their actual official name. And one thing about them is that they will always, whenever you run towards them, they will run away from you, and if you run away from them, they will run towards you and then shoot you in the back. They are the most annoying enemy in this game, for me personally. I know some other runners are a bit annoyed by some other particular enemies, but those for me are the ones that are most annoying, especially if you're on a pretty good pace and you get shot by them a few times. And sometimes they have really good aim, like they're off screen, you've already gone through the majority of the level, and they they shoot you from really, really far away. And another mechanic that I just got screwed over by there at the very end is dead ends. This is the first album that really goes hard on the concept of dead ends, and it really makes sense in a casual setting because the developers, and they've stated this, that they wanted to make it feel more like an office space. Like, it made sense to have dead ends in an office space, kind of like you walk into a meeting room that you weren't supposed to be there, and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, and then you walk back out. And that perfectly makes sense, right? And like, even in a casual setting, that like makes 100% sense. However, in a speedrun, it's very like annoying and detrimental to your run if you're on pretty good paces and you walk all the way to the end of the hallway thinking that's going to lead to the end of the level, realizing that it's a dead end and have to double back. And here's a short dead end that I probably could have avoided, but I didn't. But that's just the name of the game, trying to read the seeds as best as you possibly can. Sometimes you get some, sometimes you don't, and hopefully we don't get shot on this last floor because I already have 2 hit points down, but thankfully we didn't. So that is the end of side A for album 2. So in the last level in 2.4, we ended up going to this particular section right here, in which we will actually be introduced to a new section. We go into a new building, we get introduced to a new section, and we get introduced to a new enemy. And the enemy that we got introduced to, you might have saw their line of light coming from the other building. They're the snipers. The snipers are the second easiest enemy in this game. They really pose no threat. They can aim at you from really, really far away before you even they can be off screen. They have a really huge range. However, it takes them forever to charge up their shots. You can probably you might be on the other side of the room, walk up to them and push them, and that's how long they take to charge up their shots. And so they're really not much of a threat the majority of the time, but they do have impeccable aim. They never miss. So as long as you have some cover and on all that jazz, and you're going to be perfectly fine. That was a weird enemy to see back on this bridge, but as the name of the level implies, you're going to circle back and go to the original building that we were in. And hopefully we do not get shot by any enemies. In floor 7, or in this next section, there's not really a lot that's different from the floors we've already discovered. We do have 2 more levels to go. this is a level that, like Album 2 is a level that's probably the most unpredictable. You really don't know what you're going to get, and it kind of deviates from the standard left to right pattern of the rest of the levels that we see. And especially since, one thing I mentioned about dead ends is like the checkerboarded rooms will always be dead ends, and then a room with stripes in it you can always just walk straight through. And there's a lot of risk reward when it comes to this game, especially this level in particular. You want to make sure that you're safe. You don't want to interact with enemies too much, especially since the push animation to push enemies into a wall will lower your momentum ever so slightly, and then you will, like, that progressively adds up throughout the run, and so you don't want that to happen. And one thing that, like right there, like that's a dead end that we need to avoid, and thankfully this next part wasn't a dead end, because not all dead ends are checkerboarded rooms. So again, there's a risk reward thing with this game. You want to interact with enemies and be safe, but you don't want to waste time interacting with enemies. And so you need to choose your battles. You need to be very good at choosing your battles with this game. And speaking of choosing your battles, I am hopefully choosing my battles correctly in this last section. This is the lobby of the hotel that we're in, or the high-rise that we're in. I was really hoping that guy had bad aim and I could just go straight into the end. But that is our second death of the run. We do have to start that level all over, and we were very close to finishing it. However, we can just start over, but that gives me more time to talk about the lobby. The lobby is a really wide open space, and wide open spaces are absolutely no one's best friend in a bout. You do not want a wide open space, because there's not a lot of cover. Like these, like you can't really go like over or around these tables, but they give you like a false sense of cover because enemies can shoot you over them. We might die here again. Oof, we didn't die? Oh, that's just disrespectful. Oh, wait. That was strange. I've never had that happen before. So if you played this game before, you heard a very strange thing happen, in which I died. We saw the game register me as dead, as dying. However, I also think that I hit the end level trigger, because the music that ends the album started playing, and so that is really weird. That's never happened before for me. And so, mark that off of your bingo card. And thankfully, as I said, the game just gave that to us for free on the third try. So, yeah. A bit of a slow first half of the game, but we're halfway through. I'm just going to go straight to the end. Theoretically, this is still, sub 30 pace. I don't want to jinx it. I probably did, but we're just going to go straight into album 3. And album 3 is a very interesting album. We are in a military base. Why they thought that a gorilla was so much of a threat that he needed to be in a military base, I will never know the answer to that. But this first level, 3-1, to the album Fugue, really likes to give you enemies in huge groups, as much as those are like troops walking around the base. And more often than not, these troops will be led by one shotgun enemy, and the shotgun enemies weigh more than the standard enemies that follow them. And so if there's one shotgun enemy that's leading a group like this one, you can actually just push the shotgun enemy through the rest of the enemies, because if you push an enemy that's heavier into an enemy that's lighter, excuse me. If you push an enemy that's heavier into an enemy that's lighter, the lighter enemy will just instantly die, but the heavier enemy will not. The heavier enemy will only die if it is pushed into an enemy that is the same weight as it, or just a wall like that. And so that's what you're going to be seeing me do the majority of the time in this level when there's like huge groups, is just pushing a heavier enemy through the rest of the troops, or just pushing a heavier enemy into a wall or into another heavy enemy if possible. And thankfully, you kind of like being familiar with the layout or where the exits are. The exits are always in fixed locations, and so the exit for this level is always going to be in the top right corner. And so being familiar with just, where everything is kind of situated in the middle of a level and where the exit's going to be, That's gonna help you save a lot of time, because especially when it comes to a game that has randomly generated levels, knowing just generally where you should be at this point in time, or in this level, helps a lot, because while there is randomness, there's also, to some extent, some consistency. So 3-3 is a level with another wide open space that we have right now. And again, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but the way to mediate a lot of the randomness that you get from wide open spaces is to stay at the top or bottom of the maps. And thankfully, we did get through there, getting shot only once and not dying. So top or bottom of the maps give you a lot of cover. It's easier to push enemies into walls because you're at the very top or bottom of the map. You don't have to really worry about not finding any way to pushing an enemy forward, or not finding any kind of cover. Theoretically, obviously, it's faster to just go straight left to right, through the middle, down a wide open space, but that will more than likely end badly for you if you're not like really good at the game, or oh my god, this enemy, my goodness, thank you, please. If you're not really good at the game, or if you just aren't really lucky, because the enemies will more than likely, shoot you by the time that finishes. We did get introduced to another enemy in this level called the machine gun guys. They are the same weight as the standard riflemen, but they have like a machine gun, like this guy right here. They have a special gun in their hands and just kind of spray bullets, much like the SWAT members in Album 2. However, they are the exception to the rule when it comes to in the dark sequences, like we have here. They will not shoot faster if you're in their cone of light. I'm not sure if that is a oversight or a deliberate choice, but I'm choosing to believe that's a deliberate choice, because with an enemy like the machine gun guys, they will definitely shoot really fast if they were to react faster in the dark. And since they shoot a lot of bullets, you can probably get shot like 3 times and not even have a chance to interact with them or trying to kill them. And so that, in my opinion, I do feel like that's the reason why why those particular enemies don't react faster in the dark. Oof, but they can still shoot you like that. So in side B of Album 3, we do get introduced to another wide open space. As a matter of fact, the rest of the levels are going to be wide open spaces. 1, 2, 3. Oop. 4. There we go. And now we get a lot of really, really nice music, and we get introduced to the outdoors, the outside the military base. The outdoors really likes to give you a lot of shotgun enemies in groups, and we also get introduced to the easiest enemy in the game, which is the flamethrowers. The flamethrowers are really slow. They're the range of their fire is really short, and as long as you keep moving, you're not too close to them, you'll make it out alive. One thing that you can do with the flamethrowers, however, is if you trust yourself, you can actually get purposefully hit by their fire, or push them into a wall, and then they'll make an explosion of fire. And then if you purposefully get hit by their fire and are on fire, that will take away 1 hit point. However, any enemy that is in your path will just not interact with you. They'll run away from you because you're on fire. And so if you trust yourself not to get hit for the rest of the level, you can definitely do that as a strat. That is a valid strat. I've done it before, very seldom though. But it's much easier to do in a later level that I will explain. And again, this particular map really loves to give you shotgun guys and enemies, and those are really detrimental if you can't find cover quick, particularly because the game will really give you those enemies in groups, and they react a bit fast. And oof, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna die here. Okay. I thought I was gonna die, and I was right. But for a second, the game gave me hope. How rude of it. But anyway, that is the reason why shotgun enemies in groups can be very detrimental, because they have these really huge ranges of shots, and having multiple of them together, you can't just kill them all at once, because since they're the same height, once you push one enemy into another, only those 2 are going to die and the rest of the enemies won't, like so. Oof. Oh, okay. Hopefully I do not die. Okay, thank God we got to the end of the level. Burnout 8. 3-8. So we introduced the concept of bombs. Bombs are enemies. Bombs are also will drop at random intervals. They will kill you in one hit, as I said. For the most part, any explosion in this game will kill you. I'm gonna die. That guy's gonna shoot me a third time. Okay, I'm not gonna die. The enemy, if the bombs will shot at random intervals, and they will kill you in one hit, as I said, because explosions do that. And so, if an enemy shoots a bomb, if an enemy shoots a bomb. Okay, I didn't get hit by. I didn't get shot by a bomb. I was hoping that I'd get covered before the enemy shot me, but it's fine. If an enemy shoots a bomb, it will explode. If you push a bomb, it will explode. If you push an enemy into a bomb, it will explode. If any of those things happen, it will explode. And so you want to be careful about how you interact with these bombs, especially because they tend to drop right in your path. And this next, as I said, kind of confirming the theory that once you die, the game gives you a bit of an easier seed, or that could just be a placebo effect. I'm just like, a bit more. Oh my! I spoke too soon. This is what I get for trying to speak into existence. Some luck into my life with this game. Okay. Thankfully, that bomb exploded before the enemies could hit me. As I'm going through this next level, if the host wants to say anything, they can. Well, I'm going back to this next section. Oh my goodness, I'm so... okay, I just need to focus for a bit, because this is actually really anxiety-inducing how much stuff the game is throwing at me right now. Okay. We're at the end of album 3. That's it. So yeah. That is the end of album 3. We're going to go into the very last album now. I'm not sure if sub 30 is possible, but you know what? It's okay. We're just gonna keep rolling. Okay, so each level has had a theme. The first one was a laboratory. The second one was a high-rise. The third one was a military base. The fourth one is, a really relatable sequence where, you're just walking through the jungle and you get shot in the butt with a tranquilizer dart and then put on a boat. Much like, Madagascar, if you've seen that movie. But anyway, this is Adrift. And right off the bat, we get introduced to another mechanic. The containers in this game. The containers actually will allow you to have cover like that. However, if you overuse, you can definitely overuse containers, because again, the push animation that you do to push open the doors of the containers will progressively make you slow down, and that adds up when you lose your momentum over and over again. That adds up throughout the run. And another benefit about using some of these containers is that usually any enemy that's on the other side of a door that you just push open will immediately die, because the door hits them. And so that is something that you can use to your advantage. And right here in 4.2, you get introduced to yet again another really cool mechanic of the in the dark sequences. And that is first off, the lights do turn off at random intervals, and the enemies also don't have flashlights in this particular in the dark sequence. And what that means for us is that the enemies will just start shooting in random directions once the lights go out. However, that could be really good or really bad. Sometimes they'll shoot other enemies, or sometimes they'll just randomly shoot you. And the worst thing that could happen is that an enemy shoots a bomb enemy that's near you, which has happened to me before, and then you immediately explode and get hit and killed in one hit. But thankfully, we had a pretty good 4-2. So 4-3 is a level that I'm not going to have a good time with, because I already got shot twice. And it's really close quarters, and the game really likes to give you the enemies in groups, which is a bit disrespectful, but we're gonna keep going. And I used to be pretty indifferent about this level. It's not really that hard. It's not really that hard. I didn't really die too much to it, and then I lost like a 25-minute pace run to this level. with something like that happened. But I had pretty bad luck with that first enemy at the beginning because I got shot twice by them, and so it's just really, I kind of anticipated that death to occur. And so I'm going to play it a little safer on this second time around, and hopefully the game will be a bit nicer to me. Ooh, okay, I don't like the fact that that guy shot me. Sometimes the enemies have really good aim. Sometimes they have really horrible aim. It's another RNG factor that you can just kind of have to be in consideration of. And what I mean, and some, like, the enemies, oh my god! Okay, I need to actually try a bit harder and interact with so many enemies, because I feel like interacting with enemies in this particular level will definitely get you killed. Oh my goodness. Okay, none of all those enemies just flew away from me. Thank you for not shooting me. But anyway, I was on a, like, and then I died on that 25, like, and I killed like the 20. Okay, you know what? Okay, I'm sorry if I'm stumbling a bit of my commentary. Like, I'm just trying to react as well as I can to what the game is giving me right now, and so it's just a bit all over the place at the moment. But we're gonna hopefully get through the side A, because this is the only album that, like, doesn't have four tracks for side A. It has 3 instead, and thankfully, 3rd time's a charm. So now we're gonna go straight into side B. That was a pretty detrimental side A, particularly in 4-3. But, you know, these things happen. Side B. And this is actually the easiest part of the run, because we perform a glitch, and all you have to do is restart level. That's it. And now you are invincible. I'm not kidding. Like, just boom. Just I keep getting hit. I'm not bleeding, because, you know, usually I've been bleeding whenever I got shot. Okay, now I'm not getting shot, so this isn't really a good example. But yeah, boom. You shot me. I'm not bleeding. I can just get hit as much as I want. And the reason that works is because there was a cutscene at the beginning of this level in which the developers had an explosion, and they have spoken on this, and the reason that this explosion doesn't kill you is because instead of making it a special explosion that doesn't kill you, the developers decided to just give the player 99 health during that cutscene. And since the player has 99 health, if you restart level during that particular sequence, you actually keep 99 health for the rest of the level. So when I mean invincible, I only mean that practically. I don't really mean that literally, because if you do get hit enough times, like especially with the new enemies that we got with the missile launchers will just, as the name implies, launch missiles at you. And our explosions are technically supposed to kill you in 1 hit, but in reality, each explosion, the reason that they kill you in 1 hit is because they do 10 damage instead of an instant KO. And so you can just repeatedly get hit by those enemies, and they'll just, you know, even getting shot by them gives you a little bit of a boost forward, like any enemy would. But you actually can die in this section. I have had it happen before. It's very rare, so you do want to be a little bit careful. You don't want to be too reckless, but it's also, you know, it's pretty hard to die if you know what you're doing. But I'm just going to go straight through this next sequence. And in this level, it's actually really easy to do the strat that I mentioned earlier, purposely getting put on fire so that the enemies can just walk away from you like that. So you don't have to worry about it. But anyway, we do actually lose this particular glitch, or this particular state, once we go into the last level, 4-7, in which the enemies, in which your health will be reverted back to 3, because there's like a cutscene and a scene transition, which starts right here. So, 4-7, outro, and we are in the most familiar of situations, a zoo. Sorry, civilians, we have escaping to do. And we actually do get introduced to another enemy in this very last level, which are the tranquilizer darts. I'm going to try and get shot by one of the tranquilizer darts organically, hopefully, so that I can show you what it's like to be shot by them. They will not give you damage, they'll just slow you down and disorient you. However, you can also free the animals. So if we free the animals will actually be used as targets for the other enemies. However, they will also try to kill the other enemies for you. And so freeing the animals are beneficial in some senses. However, obviously, trying to go out of your way to free them all will lose you some time, especially if you like push the cages open and try to break all the glass. So you're gonna progressively lose some time, like here, instead of just going in a straight line. But I like to free the animals a lot, if possible. Like so, there's tigers, there's bears, there's snakes, and they'll just kill enemies for you. So yeah, boom. So this is the end of the level, and timing will end when the piano kicks in, and there's just 8 on the screen. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right. That is 8 out Warbless. A 32:34 is a really good time for a marathon run, and we get very much greeted by this wonderful outro music of "You Gotta Have Freedom" by Pharoah Sanders.